Hello, welcome to Startup to Success with Maria. My magical guest today is Magical Katrina, the most popular female magician in Los Angeles. She is the winner of 5 different awards and has performed her unique blend of playful and whimsical magic worldwide. She has been a cast member of the international touring show Champions of Magic and a performer on numerous network television shows, including Masters of Illusion and Penn and Teller Fool Us. Katrina, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about our interview. I can't tell you. I love entrepreneurs that are talented and blessed to be talented like yourself, because entrepreneurship is one thing, but then to be so talented is another thing. And it's so interesting. Right before you came on the show, I was looking at all of the videos, everything, the way you branded yourself. And I was just like, wow, I know you're a magician, but to me, you're the most magical entrepreneur I've ever come across. So I'm very thrilled to have you on the show. But before we begin, I always like to start off by what inspired you to become a magician?
So I started wanting to be a performer when I was 3 years old, and I saw The Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland, you know, The Wizard of Oz. And I wanted to be an actor and do Broadway musicals. And I was one of those theater geeks. And then I moved to LA. And before I moved to LA, I went to clown school because I wanted to be a funny actor. And I met these people that my friend was a Spider-Man at children's parties. And he said, you can do this too. So I started being a princess at children's parties. And they taught me like a little bit of magic and face painting and balloon twisting. And I would show up and I would sing for the kids. 90% of the time I was Elsa. I had wigs, of course. And at first I dreaded doing the magic part. Like I was terrified of it. It was really hard. And the people that taught it to me didn't really know magic. They just kind of were like, here's the secret. There you go, which is not really how magic works. Like the secret is one part of it, but it's not what you do. It's the way you do it and how you perform it and you make it your own. And like, there's so many magic principles I did not know. And I just was doing magic for children. It was kind of terrible. I had growing pains, but then as I did it longer, I slowly became better and better and better at it. And it stopped being the thing I was afraid of and the thing I looked forward to when I did shows. And then just from there, I started performing for adults and I did close-up magic at weddings. And I started taking classes at the Magic Castle in LA to really work on my sleight of hand. And it's just kind of like exploded and become my main focus now. And I sold all my princess costumes. And now I just do magic as myself, the best princess of all.
I love it. Oh my God, I love that. And I love how you took steps to improve yourself. You decided that's what you're going to do and you seeked out the best places. I mean, the Magic Castle is one of the best places in Los Angeles to watch magic, and I'm sure obviously to learn as well. Now, what was your journey like in Los Angeles? Obviously, it's so saturated with so many talented people. How did you try to get that attention, and tell us a little bit about, did you go the agency route or were you pitching yourself to a lot of these opportunities?
Well, I have an acting agent in San Francisco, and they'll send me, a lot of industrial commercial tech things because it's San Francisco. I did get on the TV show 13 Reasons Why with my agent. That was really cool. I had like a small speaking day player role. And then I moved to LA, and I haven't had that much success with acting in LA, but I've gotten on TV multiple times because of magic. Magicians don't really have agents, not like actors or other performers. There are like cruise ship agents. I'm learning about being a cruise ship magician because I think it'd be cool to get paid to go to the Caribbean. But besides like specific weird niches, a lot of magicians don't have agents. It's kind of, they do everything. They do, all of the business of show. Which is, as you were saying before, I'm one of the most magical entrepreneurs. I totally agree with you. I think most of my success has come from being better at business than a lot of people. Yeah. And I'm really fortunate because in a way, in the magic industry, I'm a token. So now I kind of know what guys who are in musical theater feel like getting all the parts, because there's so many women in musical theater, but there's so many men in magic and not a lot of women. So like I get sought out to do little girl birthday parties, or like I don't know if you know the Lime scooter company, the scooters you like rent with your phone.
Yes.
Like Lime were like the Lyft and the Uber of scooter fighting, when it first started. And so Lime recently hired me for their Galentine's Day party. It was like Valentine's Day virtual magic show for the women of Lime. And so I do like lots of things like that are, female empowerment. I also do things that aren't gendered, like I did the National Coffee Association convention this week, and which was fun because I love coffee. And I love coffee so much. And companies and things, right? But in magic, I am a token, so that's really helped. I think also getting on TV multiple times really helped. I had to really get that myself. It was just constantly working really hard and not quitting. And so I could tell you the story about getting on Penn and Teller's School Us, because it was just like this uphill. I was like, I will not let them say no. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm just going to keep taking notes. And yeah, it's something I feel like I knew somehow that COVID was going to happen, because we recorded the first week of March of 2020. And the producers were like, maybe we'll have you on like next year. I don't know if it's there. And I kept sending videos and working on it and like taking their notes. And I was like, no, I'm getting on. And then that was the last year they had it with a live audience, which I think really adds to the video and makes it better, because you're performing for like 200 people and you can hear them instead of now. I love the show, but I think they have like canned laughter and they don't have a real audience. And it's just a different quality of video.
And like you said something interesting. You said you almost had a feeling that something like that was going to happen. Did you take any action in terms of going online more, creating more videos? Did you listen to your intuition and do something about it? I'm just curious.
So I don't know if I knew that COVID was coming, but I tend to like, when I want something, I'm like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make it my main focus, And so part of me just was like, I have to get on this season. And so, yeah, no, I don't claim to have any like,
it's funny. I had a feeling too that something was going to happen, and 2019 was one of the best years for my marketing agency. I took on a client that got funded $100 million. So their ad spend money was like crazy. My company grew in a matter of 1 year, 330%. And so, but in the midst of all that, I'm panicking and I'm like, I need to start something online. And my husband was like, what? Don't you have enough work to do? Why would you start something online? And I'm like, no, I want to start online marketing courses or something. I don't know. I just want to start something online. I have a weird feeling. And he kept telling me, well, you wanted to do something online for the past decade, so don't make that as an excuse. I'm like, no, I feel like something's going to change. Mm-hmm. And then 3 months later, and I started this course, which I still haven't launched, by the way, because I'm so busy with everything else. But I did do the course. It's a startup course. It's called Startup Blueprint. I still have not launched it, but I put the whole thing together because I realized that if you want to start a business, these are the 7 things you need to do, like 7 major things. And I simplified it and I put the presentation together, put everything together. I sat with my daughter, who was at the time studying for this test to get into this really hard to get into high school. Long story short, I did it with her. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, see, I had a feeling, but the sad part is I still haven't launched it. So talking about having ideas. And I want to go back to that a little bit. And I would love to learn from you and also understand how in an industry like yours, you decide, what do you do? Do you create content that's going to live online, or like, how do you decide? Because here you are getting paid to go to certain companies, especially the tech companies that have lots of money. They're so blessed with lots of money, right? And that's my sweet spot. So I know how they are. They're the disruptors, the unicorn companies, and they have money. And when they have fun, they have fun. It's not even a question. But so my situation was, for example, I want to help the small businesses, and I started my startup online course, but I didn't launch it. I have marketing tutorials, this, that, again, not launched, because I feel like it will conflict with what I do as an agency. Right? Because agencies pay me money to do what I do. And I'm like, if I put all the stuff online, are they still going to pay me money and have my company do it? So I'm curious to know, did you go through anything like that similar?
Well, I would say for you, it's, I think, similar to like, oh man, I was just talking to my friend that's a coder about this, because he was showing me some websites he's worked on. And you saw my website. I'm like, I could do the same with Squarespace. Like, why would
Yeah.
And I wasn't being rude. He's one of my best friends, but I was like,
Yeah.
companies hire coders if they could just go do, like, I think my website's super sexy. And it's, and it took a long time. Like the first princess company website I made looked like go through web. And then I realized, stick to some colors and like make it simple. And now it looks nice. So it's like, why would anyone do that if they could go do it themselves? And he said, that's like with anything. You can clean your house, but you can buy a maid. And so I think, yes, you're giving people a blueprint. You're giving them a thing, but the manager of Google, whatever,
is not going to do it themselves.
They want to spend that money and have someone else deal with it. They want to pay to make lives easier. And so it's like the difference between a boutique, like personalized, done for you experience, and like, here's how to do it yourself if you have lots of time. And so I think they both marriage really well, and you should offer them, because they, who knows, maybe that person who's like a startup, they're going to do your blueprint. And then 10 years later, they're the next Google, and they're like, I remember when I did her blueprint. And then they come to you. So it's kind of like planting seeds that later become money trees.
Wow, you just said it, planting seeds. And I think that's what entrepreneurship has become nowadays, where you cannot expect results right away. You have to think so big and so far in advance, where you start planting seeds now and hope that, when the time comes, they'll all start growing and blooming. So, I, not just your online presence, but just in general, it seems like you have this natural gift to always be ready for camera and speaking. Tell me where that comes from. Is that something you just did practice and get better, or were you just naturally a good performer?
I was one of those, little kids at like 5 that knew all the words to all the musicals and would sing it. There's so many videos, like at 6 singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend from Moulin Rouge. Like, why was I watching that movie as a child? But I loved it. So I've always been like a little like performing dork, but I definitely like grew up doing musical theater. I had an internship at the Northwest Children's Theater in Portland, Oregon. And this is kind of silly, I did the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the thing where they throw like rice at the screen, the midnight showings. I did that. It didn't pay. It was like every Saturday night, but I did that for like 3 or 4 years in high school. Kind of like that movie Perks of Being a Wallflower. I think they were in the, so just like that was my childhood. And I just did a lot of improv. And I basically, when I was 3, I decided, I was like, I'm going to be an actress. And I figured, like, if you're going to do something, you got to like do it hard, from like, you have to commit to it. And so if you'd asked me from as a child what I was going to do, it was going to be performing. And so but when I moved to LA, I didn't really know what I was doing, right? Like I was doing all sorts of things. I went and I did stand up. I did open mic classes. I went to Second City and I took improv and like stand up. I did burlesque for a bit for fun. I did pinup modeling. I did all these like things that didn't pay super well, but were random, that were fun. And I had no like focus really. I was just performing, and I dipped my toes in all these different things. But a lot of them I would do at corporate events. So like I started being characters at corporate events, and I was in a dance troupe that did corporate events. We did like 1920s dancing, because the film The Great Gatsby had just come out. So every tech company in San Francisco and LA was doing Gatsby. So they were hiring our 1920s dance troupe. And I was like, wow, corporate pays like really well to act. Living in the Bay Area, I realized I'm totally like getting off topic. This is not your question.
No, it's perfect. I love it.
Like to be an artist or do what you love, or, marketing, just find out whatever you love and find a way to sell it to the tech companies or whoever has money. And you can still be an artist and do what you love. You just have to sell it to the people with money. And so I feel like there's like a lot of people that are like, I'm an actor, or I'm a magician, or I'm a singer, or I'm a comedian, and I'm just not doing well. And it's like, hey, just find out how you can take the thing you love, package it pretty, and sell it to tech companies. I mean, corporate companies, people with money. And you can still do art. You don't have to be a struggling artist. And it's
exactly,
you just make that leap and you realize that. So anyway, but I just my whole life of doing performing. So I know that's not a really great like note, just to go back and be 3 and decide to perform and work on that. But I would suggest for
I think
people
it's a blessing. I think it's a blessing that you knew at the age of 3. It is. It truly is.
we'll see, but I'm going to go after what I want. Like that's
Yeah.
the kind of child I was.
Yeah.
I wanted it so bad. Like anytime I would wish on a birthday cake or have one of those like daisy flowers, I would be like, I want to be a famous actress.
Yeah.
Like at 2 or not 2, 3. But I would say if you can't do that, because that's a lot, maybe take improv classes. Like improv is really good. I highly recommend it. I know that there's like improv people that do team building exercises and will do even corporate team building workshop. You can go, I mean, we're in Los Angeles, so you can go to Second City Groundlings.
Yeah.
There's so many amazing improv things. And all the people that have been on Saturday Night Live did improv for the most part. So it's really good for just keeping you in the moment and on your toes and being able to react and improv.
Yeah. Amazing. And you know, you mentioned something. You said you were very stubborn, and I think that's what it takes for anybody to make it on their own, because it's really lonely and it's really difficult when you venture out on your own and decide that you're going to make money on your own terms. You're going to be your own boss. And it comes with a price. You have to have that personality that you can be persistently trying and not give up and be stubborn a little bit. I think most entrepreneurs that have succeeded were extremely stubborn. And, you know, I don't want to keep repeating the word entrepreneur, even though to me, you're one of the most magical entrepreneurs I've come across. But I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to just be involved in business. Everything to me was business. I love marketing, but I love the startup world. And that's why my marketing helps the startup tech companies. Now, I can't imagine how challenging it must be to be good at something like magic, like, right, be a magician, but then also be good at business. Like for me, that's just so overwhelming. And I don't know how you do it, because to me, that's like having 2 separate careers and you have to somehow work really hard, improving both consistently, right? And work at both in a sense, because without being that business, without having the business mindset, you can't really push you yourself as a magician, as a brand. You can't push that forward. But then if you're not a good magician, you can't do the other. So how do you juggle? How do you do the 2? That's just incredible.
So I've always been really interested in just all sorts of like business hacks. I love reading books. I love TED Talks a lot, when I was younger and still now. And I just love reading business books. I listen to books on Audible at like 2 times speed. I'm trying to work up to 3 times speed. I'm getting there.
Me too. Me too.
Go ahead. Well, I'm at like 2.1.
No, I'm at 1.5. I'm trying to get to 2, but 1.5 is the fastest I can go.
It's good. So, I mean, yeah, you've got there. My personal trainer is the one who told me about that. And he told me you really have to focus on hearing the space, the words. And if you really focus on that, you also can't have competing sounds. He listens at 3.5 speed, and in his house, he has to have earphones with the sound. Because if he doesn't walk around his house with earphones, if there's even like a slight sound, it'll sound like the end of a medicine commercial to him, you know, like,
yeah.
No competing sounds. That's my note if you're trying to learn how to speed read by listening to Audible fast.
Wow.
But yes, I love that. And one of my favorite books that changed my life as far as business goes is the book 4-Hour Workweek by Tim.
My God, that changed my life too, with Tim Ferriss. That just, I wish he could come up with a newer version, because it's a bit outdated now if somebody else reads it, but I wish he could come up with a new version. He's amazing.
He's amazing.
I work with him. I used to work with him a lot more, but on the advertising side, he's one of the best. Like his podcast show, he does so well. He charges so much money for 1 minute integration. If I tell you the amount, you'll go crazy. Like, and this is like the last time we did it was years ago. So this was his price like years ago, like 45K.
Wow.
Like it probably fluctuates.
Or have a tiny 10-second thing?
No, like 1 minute integration for him to endorse is like that much.
Oh wow, not even like
so
to be a guest.
No, not even a guest. No, if you want to promote a brand on his show, that's how, and he's very particular. He has to try it, he has to like it, he has to love it. You know, he's amazing. I love him.
I
But
love it. No, I do. I've read Tribe of Mentors, and Body changed my life as far as like working out.
yeah,
And yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
I drank tea that he recommended in the 4 Hour Body. That the tea that with ginger and cumin and all these different things. It's been 2 years I've been drinking it, and I never got COVID. I never got sick. So I definitely do love Tim Ferriss. But speaking of business books, so you mentioned that you love reading. Obviously, you know, in my opinion, I went to business school. Like I probably just would have read lots of books. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did.
What other?
Yeah.
Yeah, smart.
Because I figured, one, business school, they make you take like many hours of general education.
Yes.
And I get math. So I was like, I don't want to, you know, and similar to Tim Ferriss, like I'm like, how can I hack the system? And so I've just read a lot of business books. And I've noticed if you read like 20 books about one subject, you know, some of that's fat that will be cut and a lot of it you won't remember. But if you read 10 books in a row and you don't even try that hard to like learn the stuff, there'll be reoccurring themes and things that come back over and over and over again. So if you just really want to learn one subject, read like 10 books on it, and then you'll just, without trying, soak up that information. So yeah, it's also been a growing process. I had a test company for children, and it like did not do amazing. I mean, it was fine, but it just, you know, there's only a certain cap of what you can charge in that market. And moving to LA, like Princess is overly saturated because there's young, cute girls that move here and they're like, wow, I can make $40 an hour being a princess. Sign me up. You know, they saw La La Land and they're like, I want to go to LA. And so it's just a really overly saturated market, but there's very few female magicians. So
smart.
I had to pivot. And then I also have just, I love doing it. And I love that I can combine like my stand-up comedy and my script writing and all the stuff that I was like taking these classes at like Second City and learning about. Individually, I'm not amazing at them, but combining them with magic really sets me apart, because there aren't that, like, there's two types of magicians. There's ones that like work and perform and do the business and do like what I do. And then there's a lot of them that just kind of like don't know how to perform. They just know how to like do a thing, and maybe they don't have like the most amazing social skills. And so like really stand out if you are hardworking, you're business oriented, and you can talk to people and like, you know, perform. So yes. But business, yes, business. I could talk for hours about that. That's, I think, what I'm best at in magic. And a lot of magicians are like, her magic's but I'm really good with the business. And you know, people love magic. I think there's a very like low bar to performing magic. Like you just have to be able to create an experience of wonder. It's not like comedy where people expect you to make them laugh all the time. But if you're really good, that helps. But, you know, it's an art to getting them to hire you in the first place. So you have to have a really attractive package. And the thing about magic too is it's really rare to get repeat clients. I'll do like a birthday party, like, oh, she did my birthday last year, she's come back. Or I'll do, you know, something within a company, like Google's hired me, and then they have so many small teams. Then you do another party for Google, which spins into another party for a different team. But it's really rare to get hired more than once by like the same person for the same thing, because, you know, you have a birthday party, you don't necessarily want to have the exact same thing next year. Even if I have a different show, you want to maybe like go roller skating. I don't know. So with magic, you have to get booked in the first place. And then you know, it's less about repeat clients. You do want to have a good relationship with them. Like I always invite people that I hired to go to the Magic Castle with me if they want, and, you know, keep in contact with them. And I have an email list, you know, like a normal business, like MailChimp and all that. But it's different because you're kind of doing a special day, and then, you know, you might never hear back from them after that.
Amazing. Have you partnered with any experiential marketing agencies? Because I feel like they could really include you in a lot of the stuff that they do.
So I've done some trade shows, trade show magic, its own little niche, and basically like get people attracted to the booth. You want to bring traffic to the booth and try to incorporate like the hero product into the magic. And sometimes the magic is me doing like a cut and restored rope routine. That's magic slang. And it magically comes back together. But right before I do the magic moment where I make the ropes come back together, I'm telling a story about, the product and how great it is. And right before the magical moment, I drop the product's name, and that's why it's perfect if you do this thing and then you do the magical moment. So you kind of want to since you have their attention kind of held hostage because they're waiting to see the end of the magic trick, that's when you can be like product. And so there's a whole thing with that. But yeah, I would love to know more about experiential marketing if you could hook me up.
Yeah, I'll definitely share it with you after our interview. But I want to learn a little bit about that. That's so innovative because, as a marketing agency owner, as well as a startup brand owner, I have this conflict between the two, right? Like as a marketing agency owner, I help clients that have gotten funded millions and have a budget. So for me, it's never a problem to hire influential people on radio, Sirius XM, podcast, you name it, wherever the target audience is. It's not hard for me to hire them and have those people promote the product and talk about what it has done for them. But as a startup owner, I don't have those funds to go out there and spend millions on promoting a product. And so I have to sort of go back and think of creative ways to promote my product that it's not in order for any brand to differentiate themselves, especially now in this noisy space, they have to get creative. So the minute you said, I do the magic and then I integrate the product in there, I was just like, what? Tell me more. Like, how can I use something like that with my Roma Leaf product, for example? Can I do videos? What can I do? What are some ideas that you have or suggestions that you could make?
Yeah. So I partner with brands sometimes as well on social media, or they'll have me film things for them where I'm doing that with magic. And, I just work with them and I come up with 3 or 4 different tricks I could do with their product. For yours, right? Maybe I would make it disappear. But while I'm talking about the benefits of it, I have the little jar.
Yeah.
About the benefits, right? And it helps make your tension just disappear and it's gone, something like that.
Oh my God, I love it.
With social media, with magic tricks, what's interesting, because that's a whole other thing, right? And similar to you, I'm like, oh, do I want to does it compete with my time and my energy? Because you only have a certain amount of energy. Right. And go on TikTok and Instagram, and you have to look at trends, and you have to spend a day batching content, and you look adorable. You look adorable, but it's a whole thing. And you're like, well, I have these corporate clients that are paying me to do things already and have a really good budget. I work things like that all the time. So I'm like, oh, how do I justify spending hours of unpaid time basically making content? And it's really a delicate balance, but I have some tips maybe I'll share really quickly just about social media and how magicians do social media. Is you're wanting to tell a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's often what a magic trick has, right? Here's this thing, we rip it up, we put it back together, magic. There's no rip, so you have to, in 15 seconds, right? TikTok or Instagram reel, you have to just tell a visual story. And then you also, there's this really, really well-known Instagram magician. He also does pranks and things on Instagram, but he has all these people that work for him that have different individual brands. His name's Rick Lax, and he's really well-known in the magic media. You could look up Rick Lax. He's a millionaire. And several of my friends do the prank things with him, and they come up with ideas, and he helps them film, and then he gives them a percentage of the sales revenue. It's really impressive. He has this whole system, and people wouldn't realize they're all working with this one guy. But he is just really good at making content people want to watch. And one of the things he says is you don't start at the beginning of a story. You have to start in the middle of the story. You don't go, hey, I'm Katrina and I'm going to do a magic trick. You're like, watch this, and you do it right there. You can't.
Attention span is so short now. People don't have the time or the nerves to deal with it. That's crazy. Oh. What's his name again?
Rick Lax. Yeah, please Google him. He's really, really impressive. He lives in Vegas, and he has just this network of people making magic and prank videos. I know 20 people that have individual channels. When working with him, their channels instantly got, within just a few months, like millions of followers. But I will say, people a little bit look down on it because they're like, oh, it's just pranks and stuff. Like a lot of it's like, and that does really well for some reason. So a lot of it is kind of silly things like, hey,
Right.
I'm going to surprise my husband. And then like, ah, and he's like, ah, and then that's it. And so, but it works. Whatever he's doing is like freaking working. So I majorly respect him. And I've talked to my friends and they're like, yeah, like it's maybe kind of like BS content, but like we're getting paid so well by Facebook and Instagram. Like it's a job, like, you know,
Exactly.
it's really, so anyway, I want to marriage that, right? Somehow find a way to harness that, but also spit out what my image is, you know, not spit out, have what I'm offering. It's a vehicle.
Amplified further. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I'm just doing prank videos, no one knows I'm a magician.
Right.
So yeah, you have to talk about the product. And that's a really thin, hard line to walk, being really entertaining. And then also, but like, check this out, check out this product, subliminal advertising.
Yeah. I mean, I just honestly, I know, I don't know. As soon as you mentioned that, all of a sudden I could just see, because brands are always looking for creative ways to promote their products. And all you need is a few amazing videos, even if they're 15 seconds short, just examples of how you promote brands, and just pitch it to different brands. And I kid you not, I want to definitely talk to you about this after the show, because I have a feeling that you could do really well. Because one, you don't have to leave your room, you don't have to leave your place, right? They'll ship you the products and all you have to do is create content. But one thing that a lot of brand owners love, and including marketing agencies too, when we work with media networks, we love media networks because they do all the work for us. We're in the middle, project managing, we're managing the client expectations, getting A through Z, like we're just kind of overseeing stuff. So we like it when people handle everything. So if you can come up with the idea, you know, say, okay, I'm going to promote Roma Leaf like this. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. These are the things. Do you approve? Yes, no. We get the approval. Voila, you make the content, you have a call to action, and that's it. And then that video can be amplified by the brand. We can promote it on different channels, and whether it's paid media or OTT or whatever it is, you know, there's just so many ways we could promote it. But the problem right now a lot of brands have is content creation. And it's not just content creation, it's creative content creation that's going to attract people's attention. For a long time, influencers were great. Long time. Influencers did the job. Now they're just not efficient. They're too expensive. It's not working. So there's this need to shift elsewhere. So I feel like you just mentioned something where I was just like, oh, like this is amazing. Like you could totally start a marketing agency within what you do. I know it's extra work and it's extra stuff to do, but I would highly recommend you think about that. And maybe we can talk about how we can test with Roma Leaf and see the concept. But
yeah, I never really know what to do about that, because I have people all the time message me and they're like, hey, want to be a brand ambassador? And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, okay, you just have to pay for shipping. And then I go on their website.
No.
Their clothes are like way and overly inflated prices, and the shipping is weirdly like $40.
Oh
like,
no,
this seems like you're trying to trick people into just buying stuff, because
sad.
there's no way shipping. I ship clothing online, like I sell things on Poshmark all the time. I'm like, that is not. And I sell magic kits as well. I sell magic companies all the time. I'm sending little magic kits when people book virtual shows so they can interact during the show with their you know, employees and clients and stuff. I'm like, that's not how much shipping costs, lady. No. And so that's like a trap. So there's so many weird little scams. I don't.
You have to be careful with that.
To start with influencer and trying that route of working with companies. But so you're saying maybe I should just pitch to the companies I want to work with.
Exactly. And just have a few video examples and share it with them. And that's it. That way you're cutting all that fake stuff out there. You're not wasting a second on any of them. And just doing everything paid. You don't do anything for free, basically. I'll share more thoughts on that, but tell me a little bit about the magical kits for kids. I love that.
Yay. Yeah. I have these magic kits. and they have me on them. They were like personal to me.
I
And I think there are not a lot of magic kits with ladies on them. And that wasn't like a purpose for it. I just happen to be a woman, so they're kind of like accidentally feminist magic kits. But I get sought after so much to do little girl birthday parties because people want to have their daughter, you know, see that, you know, a woman can do it, which is, I know it's so silly. I personally think that, you know, gender, not to get too political, but like, you know, things like girls like pink and women should be in the kitchen and can't cry and like blue, like the characteristics we put on the genders is whatever, right? That's kind of up. But there is something still to it. You know, I grew up watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and watching that and watching a superhero show, I'm like, I don't relate to Batman. I relate to a cute girl that like wants to put on lipstick and go kick butt. You know? So I think it really is important for young girls to see a woman in that role. I know it's silly and like whatever, but I think there is some truth to that. So I really like that I can inspire little girls to be magical and powerful. And the reason I think I got into magic so late, because I didn't start when I was younger, like a lot of these other magicians started because their, you know, parents bought them a magic kit at 10. I started at 18 when I was a princess. But I, as I said, I grew up watching Buffy, and I wanted to be a witch, like so bad. So all the strong women that I looked up to that were magical were witches, because there wasn't really like a female David Copperfield on TV. But I never thought that was a viable option because, you know, that's like made up, right? That's like saying I want to be a unicorn when I grow up. But I also did the theater. I think if there was a female magician I could look up, if someone had bought me a magic kit, I would have started a lot sooner, because honestly, it combines two of my favorite things. I love silly supernatural things. I love ghosts and just magical things. And then I also love theater, and that's kind of what magic is. That's what being a magician is. So anyway, my goal with the magic kits is, you know, maybe that will be some little girls' first magic. Boys could buy it too, right? Like gender's fluid. I think it's made up anyway, but I'm just saying they can see this kit and see themselves in it. I think that's really important when you're young, to see role models that are the same gender.
I agree.
It's silly, but it is. I feel like that weird saying it, but it's true. So anyway, those are my accidentally feminist magic kits, but I love it. They're great.
Are those tied to the lessons, to the online virtual lessons, or can they be tied together? Or if
it can be. So I sell them as a package. So I think the magic kits on their own are $40. Can I just run and grab one really quick since we're talking about it?
Okay. Please.
Really quick.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, and this is also, let me get back. Okay. So you can like edit that out for 2 seconds. Doesn't matter, it's fine. So I have these, they're the magic kits that I sell for kids.
Love it. You're so pretty on there. I love the cartoon version of you.
Yeah, and
hold that. I have to take a screenshot of that. That's so pretty. Just, oh my God. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and so I think that's nice to have it. It comes with instructions. So that's a thing. When I do birthday parties, I'll have at the end, like, do you want to have an add-on? I can actually talk a lot about business and add-ons and my products packages to clients. But so I'll sell the show, I'll sell like a longer extension of the show, I'll sell a workshop where I can teach, you know, all the people in the team, like team building magic workshop, and we'll do that virtually. And I also will teach kids magic, and I have different things I teach for the different ages, you know, with different themes I put in, right? Like I focus a lot on communication and confidence when I'm doing, and team building when I'm doing workshops for companies. But I talk about like dexterity and confidence and problem solving and puzzle solving when I'm doing it with kids. And I try to encourage them to be like, how do you think this was done? And, you know, let them in on some magical secrets, teach them about misdirection a little bit. So it's really fun. So I teach magic classes as an add-on to a show when I do parties, but also kids will do private lessons. I also do adult private lessons virtually for magic. We don't use this when we do the adult lessons. We do things like cards, coins, stuff that's around the house that you would already have. So you don't have to buy anything unless you want to. I also teach magic lessons for kids with household items. You don't have to buy this, but don't you want to buy my product?
Oh, yeah.
And then when I do workshops virtually, I have these, and these are really good because they're a little bit cheaper, right? Even if I'm working with Amazon or Google, they don't necessarily want to spend $40 per person to have a kit mailed. So I sell these. They're $17. They come with some of the stuff there, but they're really great because they pack flat. So it's only like $2 to $4 to ship per person. Canada's more. But I incorporate things in the show into this. So like this little box will have nothing in it, and you open it, nothing's in it, you close it, and then you open it again and a prediction appears. So what would happen that like say you picked something totally free choice out of 100 things, that'll predict what that thing was. So I love these. And I realized too, and I don't think a lot of magicians do this, products is like such a good way to make money. Like I used to do kids parties, and I would, before I was on TV, I would charge maybe $200 for a show or $300. Now I charge like twice that much. But right. With products, I'll add $100 to $200 extra.
Yeah.
Extra. It's like a third more of my money just from selling products. So if you have some way you can sell do that. If you're figure it out.
I'm gonna invite you to the show one more time, and all I want to talk about is how you took the idea and productized it, because I think making a product, that's a whole different subject, and it's probably we're going to need another 40 minutes or so to talk about that. But I'm so impressed by how you figured out how to make your custom magical kits. Like that's not easy task to take on, so I'm pretty impressed. Where else do you sell them? So just remind our listeners where they can purchase the magical kits, where they can hire you, whether it's for virtual magic lessons or private magic lessons, team building. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like team building, magic, that's the most creative way you could bring the two and indirectly help the team connect better. Genius.
Yay. So my website is magicalkatrina.com. So you can check out the website we were talking about earlier. And I have a cart in there. I also sell magic tricks to magicians that I've invented, like the one I did on Penn and Teller School Us. And I have the magic kits and magic lessons. So magicalkatrina.com, Katrina with a K. And I also have social media. My social media is Magical Katrina, except on Instagram, it's Magical Katrina Official, because there's already a few Magical Katrinas. And yeah, social media, Magical Katrina. You can just Google me, Magical Katrina. Yeah. There's so few lady magicians. It's pretty easy to find me. If you want to see my appearance on the TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, you can go on YouTube. It's Magical Katrina Fool Us, and it should come up right away.
And I noticed you're on Patreon as well, right? So if people want to support you, if they want to support you, just get on there and donate, guys. Come on, help.
I have a ton of shows on Patreon. I have magic lectures. I talk about business. Usually when I do an interview like this, because I do a lot of podcast interviews and things, I'll repost them there. So if you're like, I just want to see all of her content, then you can check that out. I do a lot of things. But yeah, Patreon's also a whole thing I could talk about. I've helped multiple people design their Patreons. I was doing it for free, and I started charging for it with my artist friends, because there is a science to it, and the tiers and the benefits you offer, and having like a combination of things that are like physical merch and, building relationships with them and behind the scenes content. There's so many things. Even Patreon is a whole different topic, but yeah.
I wish we had time, but again, just one more time, if you can remind the listeners, the website itself is perfect. So
Magical Katrina, magicalkatrina.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. And we're going to bring you back because we want to talk about Patreon. We want to talk about product, inventing a product. Oh my God. Like how and when did you're so young to do all this, but we're definitely going to bring you back because I want to talk about all those things next time. Thank you so much, Katrina. We wish you so much luck and keep up the amazing work that you do.